Okay, hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk about something a little bit different. We're looking at some old ruins. This is a famous place now, Machu Picchu. Um, I just happened to pull it up since I'm on the map, and I'm gonna ask a question. Are these ruins, and not just these ruins in particular, all these ruins we find around the world, are they an indication of catastrophic events that happened within human history? I would say yes, but it's kind of hard to date which ones are where when you consider what else was going on around these times, I guess. Um, so while we're looking at here, I have this on the other map, and it kind of looks like tree bark, but it also kind of looks like a faraway image of a mountain. And you can zoom out, and it still kind of does. Almost looks like a canyon. You can zoom in, it still kind of looks like tree bark for some reason. But you don't really notice that this is the world until you start zooming out much further. And this is just a gnarly region for some I don't understand, but I don't know. I just found it interesting. So while we're looking at this, I guess I'll go back here. This is one guy that talked about destruction layers. He seemed to be supportive of the catastrophist perspective, I guess. Um, and I'm just going to go around. Like, this was an odd one. I don't even know where this is at, but this is a bit more odd than most megaliths I'm used to. Now, the one thing, polygonal megalithic ruins. These appear to be way more advanced, and you find them all over the world. Another common theme you see throughout these is you'll find the largest blocks towards the base and smaller blocks above. And yet another theme you can see right here is that it looks like at a later time somebody went to pick up the pieces and just could not do nearly as good of a job. And this isn't just in one area where you see this. There's a lot, but you'll see a lot of sites where it just seems to be abandoned, despite being really advanced. And then you'll look at the stuff that comes later. Now, these got popularized, but sadly, the way that they became popularized is to throw in something, throw in the wrong conclusion at the end of it. Like, this is in Egypt, and these are really large blocks, really advanced, well cut. Athens, but these look really deteriorated here. These look really advanced. I'm not too sure where they're from. That might be okay, that's a mirror image of something. But there's a lot of these around the world, and okay, that's Jersey City. But this is a really big rock right here. These are really big rocks. These are really big rocks. Um, and these are pretty much everywhere. And it makes you wonder, so with this is Baalbek here, and this is these are the massive blocks, but they're at the bottom. So I want to talk about an alternate theory that I don't think gets enough credit. They say that these are made by aliens when you see it, but there's this same pattern where the aliens were capable of doing really advanced stuff with big blocks, and then they just became dumb at some point and couldn't do this anymore, or just left. Or they'll find these cities in destruction and say that it was aliens that destroyed them. So I want to talk, I'm going to get to that, but real quick while we're on this topic, I just want to come back and think about this logically. So if we see this, you get the more advanced stuff the older back you go, and then like less advanced at the top. This kind of defies what we have going on with the standard theory of evolution, where like we're supposed to get smarter in time, not like less capable. Brought up the definition somewhere. Yeah, here we go. A gradual process in which something changes into a different and usually more complex or better form, which we don't really see. I'm going to say, like, I mean, yeah, we seem like we have technological advancements now, but I'm going to talk a lot more about this because this word implies something, and I think part of the reason why we want to believe that it was aliens that did this was, one, that's what they put in our mind. Two, in I think we don't want to admit the fact that we can't do this right now. That like whoever came before us was more advanced and more capable of this. And the other thing I was just gonna throw out there is they want us to believe like we can't do this. Like human beings weren't capable of doing this. Even though we live on a planet with a bunch of human beings all around the world, and we have these stone structures all around the world. And again, you see it like it's more advanced here. It was rebuilt at a later time with less skill, smaller blocks. And I want to talk about how there's actually a logical explanation for having the larger blocks down there, and it's it's very simple, but most people would reject it because we're taught to believe things a certain way. So if you had less gravity in the before times, whenever some of these larger blocks were laid, you could imagine that just like all the other creatures that were larger in size, where they said they couldn't live in Earth's gravity. So if you had larger people too, not only would they be bigger and more capable of building with larger blocks like this, but the blocks themselves would weigh less if the effect of gravity was less. So it'd be a larger person lifting an even lighter block. So just think about that as a different way of looking at these possibly being made. Some of these are really advanced, but the point is they're like all over the world. And a lot of times you see them in ruin. Or in ruin and then attempted to be rebuilt. This is one of the few times where I actually seen smaller blocks on the bottom. I don't know if those are laid in later. Like some of these sites get repaired. But some of these are like really advanced. This is a good example of where it's bigger on the bottom and somebody built over top of it later, and now you got like modern houses. So while we're on this topic, see, they credit to the Romans because you get a little bit of that architecture in there, but then really it looks more like the Romans just took over an older site and made it their own. Alright, now this is another one because these kind of appear like they're melted. This is in Turkey. This is during, oh, these are in Cappadocia. The other one is Kuyu, but they're all throughout Turkey, and it looks like there's a capstone that's laid over top of this, but some of this was just like melted away. And there's caves running throughout like these sites. There's another one from Turkey where it's like this. You can see a little bit of the capstone that was laid down there. Some of these, they don't make sense. Like this is completely melted off and this was exposed, but unless if there's a staircase somewhere in there, I don't know. That just seems weird. And to build something like that with an open face, like that doesn't make sense. If you're gonna have a fortification and you have like you have no wall, what's the point of that? Like it's one thing if they're grottos and you have street vendors and whatever, but like some of these, like you just get a little bit of light and the rest of the enclosure is down there. This one is like nobody's gonna walk up there to buy anything. I mean, I don't even know if you can get up to some of these, which is weird. It's almost like something was there and it was fused into the rock or melted away. But these are all over and they're really, really fascinating, but they look like they're a site of ancient destruction. Some sort. And yeah, it could be volcanic. It could definitely be volcanic. But the way it happened, like a lot of this just looks like it was melted away and sure, erosion or whatever. But this is weird. This is like a really weird situation they have going on here. You can see these are charred. I actually saw one video where somebody had a close-up of some of this and it looked like they were the Martian blueberries, the little iron balls that form after electrical events. And you can see it's just like cut right open in some areas. This just does not make sense. And then Kuyu, this is another one where it looks like it was just some laid and melted. Whether or not it was eroded, who knows, but... And then, while we're on it, so there's the city of Petra, and this one looks like it's similar, where they have it carved out of the sandstone, but then there's certain things that are like, it looks like other stuff was there and just melted away around. Like these are really nice and pretty, but some of these are like faded. Like there's columns here and it just got melted away. So you really got to wonder what all. Here's Mohenjo-Daro. This one, it's like they always say it's see, they have no problem admitting that there's like some catastrophe that happened, but they don't like to group them all together. They like to spread these things out throughout different times sometimes, and it's really, we're just gonna get rid of that. This one they like to do stories about this more often than not, and I really kind of want to talk about this because it seems like somebody's blaming whatever took place to the world. Like you can zoom out, you have to zoom way out to really see. We're so zoomed in right there, but when you look at what was going on at this scale, and somebody starts blaming it on someone else for their sins or whatever, we got to really talk about that because so sure, you can have destruction, but does it mean whatever they're saying, like it was because these people were evil? I don't think so. I don't think so. But they like to say it was a meteor because that is easier for them to take in. But when I look at the Earth, it doesn't matter where I'm going. Um, I can zoom out, and this whole, it looks like this is one large event. Um, And you can even see the Dead Sea was like right up in line with what was trying to rush in there. Let's zoom back in to see how that looks over here. I'm way too north. And there's all the this is a lot of destruction going on here to where I'm in the wrong region entirely. But the point is, like, yep, here we are. Where this came up, this rushed in, and this is like a pocket of sand. Not sand, but let's get rid of this. So this came up from the bottom, is all I'm saying. And these paths, there may have been paths of least resistance that were carved in the initial event, and then the later events, they have whatever this area is already affected to where anything else going on, it's going to come back and affect these regions more prominently. But I just wanted to ask that question to see if the actual runes themselves show evidence of mass destruction, maybe not just in the rubble, but in the actual architecture itself and the capabilities as it declines over time, and progression throughout time. This is a really good example where you have something, whatever, down here, really good, skilled, and then it's just, who knows? Who knows? All right, take care, everyone. We'll talk more, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.